Joris, to get us started, give me two truths and a lie, please.
Well, the do you know that the name Joris is actually the Viking version for George?
Okay, all right.
That's the first
Might
one.
be. Okay.
The second one is I already won the lottery, and the third one is if you know my accent, you recognize that I'm from France, in Paris, more specifically.
Okay. Joris is the Viking named George. You've won the lottery and you are from France. You would think that I would know if Joris were the Viking named George. So I don't know. I don't know if you won the lottery. Are you from France or not? I'm not awesome at accents, but I'm going to guess because I know you're a hardworking guy that you've not won the lottery.
That's a good one. I try every day. That's why I'm an entrepreneur. You see, I'm
Mhm.
still building the lottery.
You are holding on to tickets of some kind. So Joris is actually Viking George.
Correct. Yes.
Uh,
I think it's a funny one. Many time when I travel, I'm like, okay, what is the easiest way for people to also remember this name? That is pretty uncommon, except in the north of Europe. And yeah, it's a good way for people to remember it.
yeah, for sure. And no lottery winner yet. And you are, in fact, from France.
Correct. Yes, and born and raised there, and literally I was meant to be in the U.S. according to my wife for since I'm young, and even my parents often say to me like, "Yeah, since very young you wanted to move there." So I guess I'm where I am meant to be right now, but I can't hide my accent, and most of the time when I start talking with an American, he's like, "Are you from France?" And I'm
No,
like,
uh-uh.
yeah,
Jersey.
yeah, yeah, Connecticut.
That's so funny. Why do you think that everybody thinks you belong in the United States?
Well, I think in terms of mindset and ambition and probably also the freedom, and it's probably one of the things that is even more true these days. Like free of speech. I mean, I don't know if you follow the situation right now in France and the debate that there is, but the country has been under 40 years of socialism. And unfortunately, that long means the whole generation is now under this pretty poor ideology that things should be done only through the state, by the state, for the state. And you end up with the current situation where you put people that don't know how to manage a company, to manage a complete state, and you end up with the worst economical situation ever. You end up with poor ambition. And that's probably what made me very different from this culture. I wanted to focus on growth and not to focus on sharing the money of others. I want to focus on where we can be in 50 years, not what I can do tomorrow to tax more the people that are trying to do something. And also, I want to make sure that you can succeed. And there, before that you can succeed, most of the time, the question will be which network are you part of? What school did you do? Which family are you coming from? And the social elevator doesn't really exist anymore, unfortunately. So I think whatever people say about the US, whatever they say about the administration or the people here, at the end, the freedom, the mindset that come with freedom is here still alive. And I really wish that it will come back one day to a country like France. But we have a very different reaction to change, and we are a country where most of things happen through revolution, like a complete shift with a lot of violence when the shift happened. And history tend to repeat itself. we could expect that the situation will go extremely low and be extremely bad until the moment where violence is shifting things. Yeah, I think unfortunately I don't see anyone standing up to prevent that. And when I say that I feel good here, it's not that the situation here is perfect, far from that. But I feel that you can still work and build and be successful without falling into the realm of politics. And that is such a peace of mind, to be honest. It helps a lot.
God bless America, Viking George. Well said, brother. I love it.
Thank you, George.
Well, we're glad that you're here, Joris. Well,
Thank
what
you.
is top of mind for you right now?
Well, since 7 years, my goal is to reinvent the way securities and mostly equity securities are moving on chain. So what's top of mind for me, and what keeps me awake at night is how can I make what is today very illiquid to move? How can it move faster, easier, cheaper by simply going on chain? And I really like that approach of using superior technology to change an infrastructure and reinvent an industry. That's what I did with my previous company, Nexteam, in France, on the cloud computing. That was between 2008 and 2016 when I sold it. And that's what I'm working on with Fairmint right now. Like, how can we bring more equity on chain to make it move? How can I think about, like, George or anyone else that owns stocks in a private company, as an investor, as an employee, how can I make sure that tomorrow, if the company has a little bit of traction, there is a way for you to make that equity move, to use it as collateral, to leverage that position, to allow more people, for example, to take a position through you. Like all the things that today exist in DeFi that work super well for coins, we are bringing it to the equity world. And it's fantastic to see how the new SEC, with all the talented people among their team, the crypto task force, are literally doing the job today to make sure that the US can be the world capital of the crypto industry.
So, how did you get the idea to start working on this problem? Was it obvious to you?
Yeah, so it has been a really like a long, thoughtful process between my first company, my second company, my angel investment. I was very frustrated to see how complex it was to onboard people to my cap table, whether they were employees, contractors, partners, and they were all helping me create my wealth, but make them participate to that and capturing some financial upside was extremely hard. And on the other end, as an angel, I was very frustrated to see that I was investing in a company, and after a year or 2 years or 3 years, the company was starting to get some traction, but nothing really happened for me. Nothing changed. I was seeing paper money that was going up, but I couldn't leverage that. I couldn't go to see someone and say, "Hey, look, I can participate in that deal, and I need cash, or I need liquidity, or simply I'm bringing this to the project so that we can pull that all together." Couldn't do that, and basically I thought, okay, if we want to fix capitalism, we need at one point to make sure that a broader range of people access to financial upside of private companies. And I applied to the Singularity University in 2016, 17. Right after selling my company, thinking like, okay, I want to try to fix capitalism, but where can you do that? Not in a socialist country. So that's why, for me, it was pretty obvious that I had to start from the US and then hopefully spread the thing when it works to go to a country like France, like Europe, and make sure that more people can access to this financial upside. So yeah, it has been a very long process. And then when I started, it was completely off-chain. Using TradFi, I was building an exchange for startups using SPVs. So something that a lot of people were trying to do at that time, that's hot again today. But summer 2018, I was working on this in San Francisco, and my co-founder and CTO Thibaut, who was deep in blockchain, deep in Bitcoin since 2014, lost his Bitcoin in Mangox. He was literally explaining me this technology. I remember 7 years ago, and I was like, "Oh man, that's a game changer." If for me there is a big analogy with the cloud computing, and it would take time, but once people see how superior this tech is, they will simply say, okay, we want to use that technology. And now we are at this moment, I think, where most of the incumbents are seeing that the challengers are right moving on chain, and that they should bring their own industry on chain as well.
So when you say incumbents, who are some examples?
It's broad, but I would say the DTCC, for example, which is managing and settling and clearing most of the public stock market in the US, but also the banks, the all the intermediaries, transfer agent, broker dealers, nominees, custodian. Like literally, we see a whole industry that is moving now on chain because they see the value of it. And of course, all the exchanges, national exchanges, or solution like Coinbase, Binance, Crypto.com, Robinhood, even Fidelity is actually now moving on chain because they see how much value they can extract from this technology.
It certainly makes sense. I've got images in my mind of just massive Excel spreadsheets of how people are tracking this kind of stuff right now, but maybe it is simply that.
No, I think it's a better technology than databases. So the moment that you understand that most companies rely on databases.
Uh,
If tomorrow you want a better tech, it's blockchain, then you will upgrade to the blockchain. And then we don't care if the debate it's public or private chain, it's permission or permissionless. I mean, the people that have the time to compete on that and debate on that, they are just missing the massive point, which is adoption. And the reality is, yes, some project and some teams will rely on public chain, and it's fantastic. But at the same time, most of the corporates that are coming, they will come with their own private chain or their own hybrid chain, exactly as the cloud happened. The cloud was public, government, banks, and all those players, they were completely against that in 2010. But then they started to have opportunities to do hybrid or to do private cloud. And that's when everything moved on the cloud. And now you have the Cloud Act that allow government to spy on that because all the data is now on clouds. And but the reality is that it took a bit of time until people find the right technology for the right use case. I'm glad. I'm glad to see everyone moving on chain. I'm excited. I think what we don't want is to see a new Madoff happen. So what will be very important is to design for each chain, whether they are public or private, these observers that will come and that will be able to analyze things. And sometimes the data might be private and anonymous, but still you will be able to identify things, or you are the regulator and you rely on this type of observers to flag violation. But it's very exciting to see the world moving on chain.
well, it certainly makes sense. And just from a cap table standpoint, to have it done so easily and so transparently, so everybody knows what the state of play is and everything you've been describing is one of the big opportunities going to be regular investors having access to investing in private companies like I today can go invest in Google just by buying shares of their stock?
That's a very interesting question. I think I will answer this way because I see two things in our market today. One, everything is a function of the traction of the business. Okay. So we can build the best rails. If a company doesn't have the traction, nothing will really happen. They won't move on those rails. What matters today is to build the rails for the companies where the traction is coming. Tomorrow, in 6 months, in 2 years. We want to make sure that we bridge the gap between today being private and tomorrow being public. And in between, you have a whole world that now can be 5 to 10 years or even more. And so the goal behind that is to make sure that the one that own when it's private have the opportunity to leverage that position. And at the same time, by offering that to those people, you offer an access to a broader range of people to use this leverage asset by someone to participate and get a part of the financial upside, you see? So, but to do that, you need to reinvent completely the rails. You need to decrease the cost of a transaction transfer on private markets. And today, what is awful is that if you own a share in a private company and you want to sell or you want to do something, well, you will call an intermediary. This intermediary will call liquidity providers, investors. And then when everything is settled here, you will ask the board to accept a transfer. And the board, even if you spend 3 months building everything, might say, no, I don't accept anything. And you end up in a situation where everyone lost time and you end up hopeless and you don't want to start again because you're like, okay, to do one transaction successfully, you need to have 10 that fails maybe. So the costs are extremely high for this type of transfer. Now imagine that you build a vending machine for that, the same way as you would be the board that provides Snickers to the vending machine or Diet Coke to the vending machine, and then you have people coming and they buy from this vending machine. Well, you just set the things fully on chain to allow the transaction to happen like this. You decrease the cost, you make it smooth, you make it easy, and you make it simple to understand and proceed and process. So that's where I think we are unlocking a complete industry to move from it's totally illiquid to it can be liquid. And it's a 0 to 1 type of, move.
And so I, as the investor, I could demonstrate that I have some ownership interest in this company, and very easily and seamlessly, I'm able to transfer that ownership. I can sell it to whoever wants to buy it, and I can then receive currency back, token.
Exactly. Yeah, ideally everything is on chain so that the split, everything is automated through smart contract. And not just the financial transaction, also the law. Many times I'm explaining to people, like, if the law is not on chain, then the asset is not on chain, you see? And it's very important today to start designing smart contracts that are not a digital twin of the real life. It has to be the law. It has to be the agreement. And maybe I can make a very simple analogy. Before we had papers, okay? So when you were buying stocks, you were receiving share certificate, that's the stocks. Nowhere else the value is except in these stocks, right? Then came the digitalization and the Web 2. What happened in Web 2 is actually you eliminate the paper stock. You replace it by a share certificate, but that is actually maintained only by the Web 2 centralized agent, okay? Most of the time a captable vendor in the private market. But if the private agent doesn't receive the fees that the company is supposed to pay every month, it deletes that. And as an investor, you get nothing except the docs that you sign. So we went from a world where I was able to give you a share certificate in paper that you were holding in hand, that you could go to a bank to custody it, that you could leverage to a share certificate that is completely dependent of a centralized agent. I think the beauty of Web3 is that we are bringing back the control to the company and the investor, because now you will custody your own asset. You will be able to, at any time, do whatever you want, pending, of course, the respect of the US securities laws and the transfer restriction in effect in this company. But that gives you the opportunity to hold your asset. And I think that is game changer. Like on my end, for years, I had an Excel file where I was tracking all my angel investment. And every year I was like, oh, I need to call the founder to see what's going on and all. Well, now I will not need to do that. I will have that in my phone as a portfolio, the same way as manage my stocks on Robinhood. I will manage my private stocks directly in the app. And I will be able to have some call to action to do things with them. So I think this is control given back to the two main agents here, the company, the investor, or the shareholder.
It makes perfect sense. That's a wonderful way to describe it. I love it. Well, Joris, we are ready. You've given us a lot of new information. We're ready for your difference-making tip. What do you have for us?
Um, well, do people prefer to chat about like how to be a founder or thing like this, or it's broader? Like I
Whatever you
can pick
like.
up. Okay. Well, maybe I will. I will. Yesterday, I had a long discussion with someone that I help and mentor, and I was explaining how you can be a different CEO if you hire at light speed. And I think it's a way to be extremely differentiating from others, but also to cultivate a skill that will help you and your company all along. You don't need 20 interviews to see if the person is a fit or not. All you need is to have the person internally operating, chatting with the team or you, executing task. Most of the time, you will see all the like I don't know if you say that in English, the low signal. The things that you will a weak signal maybe. I don't know the exact translation, but basically you will be able to see in real time in the first 2 or 3 weeks if the person is a fit. And whoever is telling you that you should go through a recruitment agency or thing like this is probably just trying to ease his life, but maybe not doing the right decision for you and your company. So yeah, I would say try to be a differentiating person when it comes to recruiting. Hire super fast. If you need to fire as fast as possible as well. But that's probably what I would say as a way to differentiate yourself from others.
Well, I think that is great stuff. That definitely gets it. Come on, get him in the door. Let's get to work, and you will see if they will be a good fit and a good contributor on the team. And if they're not, you can move them along. I love it.
Exactly.
Well, Joris, thank you so much for coming on. Where can people learn more about you and Fairmint?
Thank you so much, George. It was a fun one.
Yeah, for sure. Where can we learn more?
Sorry?
Where can we learn more?
Oh, Fairmint.com, of course, the website of Fairmint. You can also follow us on Twitter, both the company and my account on Twitter, LinkedIn as well. And if you want to reach out, you can use both, do social to ping me directly at Joris Delanoue.
Excellent. Well, if you enjoyed this as much as I did, show Joris your appreciation. Share today's show with a friend who also appreciates good ideas. Go to fairmint.com and check out everything that Joris and I have been talking about. And hopefully we will see this on our phones really soon, Joris.
Awesome.
Thanks
Thank
again.
you, George.
Finally, friendly reminder, there's never going to be anybody more interested in your financial success than you are. So act accordingly.